Someone's phone going off?
Yes, my name is Dean. Good to have you. Good to see you. Good to be here. Nice to be alive, as opposed to the alternative, which is always fucking terrible. Right? At least we're here. I mean, we're ravaged with COVID. We'll get to that in the podcast. The entire country seems to be freaking out. We'll get to that in the podcast. We had a major announcement this morning, which is great. We'll get to that in the podcast. We're going to make your lives better. We're going to give you some money and give you a chance to have some fun during this impending lockdown. We'll talk about that in the podcast. And we've got some guests today, which is cool because we've gotten a chance to talk to a million different people over the past year and a half. But anytime you get a chance to talk to some guys that are as balls deep into something that these guys are into, it's fucking great. So let's just get to it. Please welcome to the program from OwnersBox.com, weekly fantasy sports. The world is, to take a line from Trump, the world has never seen before. Sandy Plashkus and his two interns, Jeremy and Avery. Nice to see you guys. Great to have you. Look at you, young people.
Thanks for having us.
Yes. Yes, look at you, young people. This is the way you do it. Listen, guys, thanks for doing this. I'm really thankful that you could spend some time with us. And first of all, congratulations and thank you. We're really excited. It appears we're all dying. Oh, what the fuck was that? Did you guys hear that?
I don't know what that was, Dean, but I got you back now. You're good.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Thanks. I appreciate it. Anyway, so we announced this morning that we did a partnership with these guys at OwnersBox. Now, OwnersBox.com is this fantasy thing, and I wrote about it and I talked about it because it was important when we announced the partnership. People get a little backstory. So the backstory is this. Meet with these guys 3.5 years ago. They tell me about this fantasy app. They tell me it's going to change the world. They go their way, I go mine. We stay in contact. 3 years later, Drew Brees is their spokesperson. They're this up-and-coming going concern when it comes to weekly fantasy sports, which nobody is doing on the entire planet. And these guys, we have 10 million viewers, listeners, unique people visiting the site, interacting with our shit. They're the biggest thing on the block. They're the biggest swinging you-know-what in the Cracker Factory. So we decided to get together, and that's what we're doing. So, guys, great to meet you. Sandy, let's start with you. What exactly is on your left if you're on my right? You've got two guys with the same microphone, and I think you're in the same building, but you've made them sit in a totally different room on the same call. They don't even get their own call.
No, so just a little backstory, Dean. First of all, thank you for having us. It's a real pleasure. We're extremely excited about the partnership going forward, and we'll obviously be doing some very cool things together. But in introducing these two boys here, Avery Chenier on the right there in the blue with the no hat, got the flow going. Mm-hmm. And Jeremy Roach is our other intern. These guys, they came on board, 3 months ago or so? Yeah, roughly, and they've come on to help us in the marketing department, user acquisition stuff, content creation. I'm sure you've seen, Dean. I know you've seen our podcast.
Yes,
we started with our flagship podcast In the Box, and actually have started our first ever all intern podcast called Short Term Assets. And just a little backstory of the name. It's actually
that's got to make them feel really good coming to work every day.
You got to understand the backstory though. These guys, so they're still in school. Where do you guys go? Laurentian. I don't know where that is. I'm from California, so I'm still learning my Canadian geography.
It's in the Laurentians, bud. It's in the Laurentians. Yeah. It's in Quebec, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's in Sudbury.
Anyways,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're here. Anyway, go ahead. So they came on. Yeah, go ahead.
They came on board, they jumped on the first podcast we had on In the Box, and they did a great job. They're real funny guys, and we're like, you know what? No one's really doing an all intern podcast. So we spun up. We actually let them take the reins on it. They branded it up, created a logo, thought of some cool content ideas, and really took off from there. We're 2 episodes in. We'll be releasing those podcasts for the interns every week. But I think they should kind of talk about what they do what they do on short term assets and why they created it.
Yeah, they look really thrilled to be here too, by the way.
We're so excited.
What do you guys, Jeremy's got the hat and Avery's got the hair. Is that a mullet? Do I see hair behind you as well, or is that just on the top?
That's on the top.
Okay,
He's got the flow, Dean. He's got the flow.
Sorry. So how do you guys know each other? And tell me about this podcast, the Intern Podcast.
So Avery and I played baseball with each other.
Yeah.
Well, you played baseball with my brother since you're like 8 years old.
Yeah.
So we've known each other forever. We just played summer baseball together.
Yeah.
After like second year university, and then I needed to go to a new school, and Jeremy had a new baseball team, so I went there, and now we're roommates.
Yeah.
Do everything together. So
they seem a little nervous, Dean. Like, get the blood flowing over here. Jeez, guys.
But now we just shoot the shit on the podcast and have a good time. Talk about sports. Jeremy talks about the Bills. That's about it.
You guys are freaking out. You guys are freaking out right now a little bit, aren't you? For some reason.
I can hear myself, and it's really fucking me up.
Okay, good. Don't listen to yourself. That's the first rule of a good bettor. Never listen to yourself. So you guys, tell me about your, like, you guys just talk. You talk sports. You talk fantasy. You talk betting. What's the podcast about? Is it about like the job you do, being a short-term asset at a huge fantasy sports company? Is that it? Is it about trying to feel better about yourself and not quite getting there?
I came up with the name. I'll take credit for that.
All right.
But pretty much is we're short term because we don't know if we're going to last in the company. And then we're assets because we can make people money from betting.
Yeah.
So that's where the name came from.
Do you guys bet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, Dean, you got it. I mean, if you watch In the Box, that's our main podcast. We give out weekly NFL picks, and we're absolutely printing right now.
We're not all printing.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Avery is struggling. But
Yeah. Well, I saw it because I saw a tweet this morning from Plashkus, who's never shy about bigging himself up, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna fucking love working with this guy because he pumps his own horn almost as much as I do. But he was like 8-2 in his last 10 or something like that, and he was telling people that he's on fire. My first time meeting you guys, but where do you stand in the hierarchy of who's really good at making picks and who's shit?
So just to break it down, I'll give you a little structure of how we do it on the podcast. So on In the Box, we release on Fridays, and we give out 3 picks a week. Our favorite of the week, which is a favorite spread. Then we give out our underdog of the week, and then we give out our total of the week. And they're all NFL bets. I'm sitting pretty right now at 9-3 at the top of the leaderboard. Jeremy's number 2. What are you, 7-5?
Yeah, 7-5.
And then our status updater Devin is 6-6, and then Mr. Chenier over there is it's ugly. What is it?
It's not that ugly. It's 5-7.
5-7, which is under 500. We don't take pride in losing records here at OwnersBox.
You know what? I can
pay for my college football bets, and I'll make some money there.
Yeah, dude. I stay away from college football. It's hard because, like, we'll get into the fantasy and the betting and stuff like that, but it's hard when you're actually trying to make a pick during the pandemic. Like it is, because I'm the worst. I'm that guy in the NFL where I wait like 3, 4, 5 weeks. I might wait a month and a half before I start putting money on a game because I have no idea who's who anymore, right? Like you want to make sure when you start your season, you're not throwing money away on what you thought last year was, depending on what happened in the offseason. So I'm the worst. Like, I'm the most cautious bettor you'll ever meet in your whole life. That's why I'm me. You guys, 23, 21, 22, still have giant nuts and really don't give a shit what happens to them, though.
Exactly. And you know what, Dean, you said it earlier when we started this episode, and I just want to say that you can't bet with your head too much. You can't overthink things.
No.
You got to go with your instinct, go with your gut, and that's how I really bet when it comes to NFL. Mm-hmm. I'm a Packers fan. I've been hammering the Packers. They're 4-0 against the spread this year. They've been doing pretty well for me, but I also love teasers. Teasers are my favorite form of bet for NFL. That's what you saw on my Twitter. I'm actually 8-3 this season.
Yeah, explain the teasers. Explain the teasers, because listen, I know there's a lot of people watching right now, whether you're on Twitch or DeanTube or whether you're watching it at DeanBlundell.com. Nice solo cups, by the way, fellas.
Yeah.
It's a sweet Friday move in your 20s at work. But explain what a teaser bet is. Go ahead.
So basically a teaser bet is, you have your regular line. For example, let's say the Packers are -7 against the Buccaneers, which they're actually not, but let's, for this hypothetical situation, say that you would get 6 points in your favor. So if I tease the Packers spread, I would tease them down to -1 from -7. So I get 6 points on the spread, and then I would get 6 points on the total. Whether I took the over, I would get 6 lower points, or if I took the under, I'd tease it up 6 points. So I find much success doing this form of betting. I really believe in it, and I've been doing it for years. I don't know why more people don't take teasers. I'm not a regular lines guy. I mean, if you see my memes on Twitter, strictly teasers all day long. And I mean, I'm doing pretty well so far this year, looking to keep it going.
What's your Twitter handle?
At Sandy Plashes. Definitely follow if you like winning money.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not shy, as you can tell, either. Like, that's the part I like about him. This is what I'm saying. You guys haven't – you got this whole fucking thing in front of you. You have this experience in front of you right now working at OwnersBox for – and I'm going to get into the fantasy stuff. But, like, do you know how exciting the pandemic is going to be for me during the second and third waves if I stick with this? Do you know how much, like, this will actually give me something to do? This is what I'm so jacked about, just for me, just from a completely selfish perspective, in doing a partnership with the guys and you at OwnersBox and the entire group. What I'm jacked about is, we're going through this, like, historic, generational, life-changing moment, and at work, I get a chance to gamble. I get a chance to lay bets. I get a chance to educate myself. Like, today was my first draft. My computer shut off halfway through, so I have no idea if I got auto-picked or anything at the end, or if that even happens. But I'm going through, and I'm on the phone with you, Sandy, and I'm like, okay, dude, yeah, I can't talk right now because I'm like in the middle of the draft. I'm just about to take Joe Burrow. And you're like, don't take any quarterbacks. And I'm like, okay, now this is something I have to learn. This is the exciting part about the entire thing for me. Like, sure, it's going to be great business. We're going to start leagues, NFL. We're going to do everything as soon as we possibly can. We've got everything in place for all of our influencers to be able to, take this and bring it to the people that enjoy the things that we do. But the most fun part for me is I get a chance to not be bored out of my goddamn mind for the next 3 months if it lasts that long.
Yeah, and the good news is, just on the COVID and how it's affected the space, particularly the fantasy sports / gaming space. I mean, if you turn on CNBC 3 months ago when COVID hit, all you would see was, Penn National Barstool deal. You'd see the DraftKings IPO. You're seeing more transparency into our market, whether it's fantasy or gambling. It's the same vertical, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
From an investment standpoint, from a user base standpoint, people are thirsting for this kind of stuff, right? And I think our positioning as Weekly Fantasy Sports, doing something unique that no one else does, I think we have a really big opportunity to take advantage, and it's only going to keep growing. I mean, if you listen to podcasts, you listen to the news, anything covering the space in general, it's only going to skyrocket from here. And we're, positioned very uniquely, and we're very excited going forward with our product in Weekly Fantasy Sports.
Yeah, Weekly Fantasy Sports. Explain that, because that's the big part. This is Sandy Plashkus. He's got Avery and Jeremy there from the Intern podcast, Short Term Assets. Go to OwnersBox.com. You can check out all their content, including their podcasts, a couple Drew Brees commercials, and Sleepers with Kate. I watched that 16 or 17 times today just to make sure I got all.
Yeah, that was actually our chief of content, Edward. He's a great guy. He does great work for us on the production standpoint, but it was his idea to spin this up, and we're really just trying to add more stuff to our network. Obviously, I think especially a fantasy specific segment in sleepers, it's such an important thing when you're drafting a team in our format, is to be aware of the players that week who could really jumpstart your league or win you the week, right? So I think having that segment on our YouTube, on our audio channels, really help our users not only familiarize our product, but also look out for the best players in our format that will help them get the win.
Yeah, so like I said, I was watching it 40 or 50 times today, Sleepers with Kate.
I thought it was 15 or 16. You went by 2x there?
I was researching. You're a new partner. I want to make sure I got it all, man. I want to make sure I get the details. But I was watching that, and I'm like, this is brilliant. Number one, the great part about this whole thing is the weekly play, the weekly payout, the weekly idea that you don't have to wait an entire fucking season to be able to get paid out. You don't have to pay attention, for 6, 8, 10 months, depending on what happens. The way that leagues in the pandemic and how we're doing things, the way the whole thing has worked out, like season after season is going to start one after the other. By the way, NHL free agency started today. Jacob Markstrom is a Calgary Flame. Just dropping that. A lot of people are watching this. I wanted to say Markstrom, Calgary Flame. And Holtby, I think Vancouver. This is something you guys broke just in my ear. Yeah. Thank you, by the way. But you've got everything going on at the same time, and weekly fantasy gives you the ability to be able to do that 52 times in a row in fucking perpetuity. Like, that's the incredible part of this play, which is one of the coolest ideas I've seen in that space. I don't know, and I don't know if anybody else is doing it, but thank God that you figured it out.
Well, I think you're hitting it perfectly. And kind of our vision here is to mend the gap between daily fantasy sports. Obviously, your DraftKings, your FanDuels of the world kind of, they pioneered the space and made it all about short-term payouts, short-term gratification, all that fun stuff that gamblers and fantasy sports players love. And then there's season long, which is more socially driven. You play with your buddies. But there's, downsides to both offerings, right? There's, long-term commitment on the season long side. And then on the daily side, only 2% of users actually turn profit. So our goal at OwnersBox is to really mend the gap between the two and combine the best elements of both. So
did you say 2% of people on daily fantasy actually turn a profit? That's it?
It's actually less than 2%. It's just because, think about it. You can submit, there's contest sizes up to 300, 400,000 in one contest, right?
Right.
But what they do is they advertise, $1 million pool, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But little people know it's, people are crunching numbers, running models to actually game the system, right? So your average daily fantasy user, 98% of them aren't actually turning profit. They're just throwing money away. So our whole model was to, ensure a fair playing field for all users. The live draft is a great aspect of fantasy that daily doesn't really do. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to take that from season long. I know you went through a draft this morning and saw that piece of it, but
it's the fucking coolest because like you can put guys in your queue, as you know. I'm telling you how it works, and you guys own and work at the company, but I'm actually just explaining for everybody else. The ability to be able to put guys in queue, see who's on the table. Everything's timed. What is it, like 30 seconds or 60 seconds you get to pick before they move on to the next guy?
Yeah, you get a minute.
16 guys. You get 16 guys in the actual draft, and you can see who's coming up. You can see guys leaving your queue when they get picked. And for someone that was never really big into fantasy, I thought this is like one-stop shop, right? Like, this is the great part about this is you've made it the UX one of the easiest, and I said this in the post, one of the easiest, most easily navigatable. It's fucking really easy to use, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, right? We're not trying to create new user behavior. We're trying to provide a platform where users can come on, play with their friends easily,
right?
Meet people from all over the US and Canada, right? And it's our social system, which is really unique about our product, is we have a messenger system. I saw you added me as a friend last night at like 11:30. I got to it this morning.
I added you. I'm adding Rocher later on today, which is Jeremy Roach right there. I'm adding Rocher. And I added somebody else, but no one's added me. I added Drew Brees to get $5 today. That's what that was.
There you go.
It's a great promo. Not only if you go there right now, and the link is up actually on my Twitter feed at Steam Blundell. But if you go there, you can get this sign up where they're going to give you $50. They'll match your $50 offer. But the great part is you get to be friends with Drew Brees literally on the thing for like the next from today until, is it today
Sundays.
or is it?
Well, you'll be friends with them. I mean, once you add them, you're friends with them permanently. But the offer is we're giving everyone $5.
Yep.
All you have to do is sign up if you haven't already, verify your account, which takes 2 seconds, and then simply go down to the messenger, hit the add friend button in the bottom right, type in @DrewBrees, add them. There's free $5 for you to play in a contest. It makes no sense to me why users wouldn't just do it. It's free money. I don't get the $5 offer, but I would love it if I was a user person.
That's always been bullshit, by the way. When I worked at a radio station, they give out these prizes, and I'm like, "Can I enter?" They're like, "No, fuck you." I'm like,
exactly. It's a shame. It's a shame.
Yeah.
The only other thing I hate is that I can't play with the public. If you look at the leaderboard, I was number 1 for a couple months, and it's tough being the best on the platform, but I actually have to scale back my contest count because I'm not allowed to play with the public. So, which is probably for the best. I mean, we want our users to win money, and they don't want to play. So,
well, and plus you get paid by the organization too, right? So there's that.
Exactly.
Like the interns, are they allowed to play? Are they allowed to win?
No. So the rule is no one in the company. Yeah, well, they're not very good.
Well,
but,
no.
I wish they could play.
Let's not say that.
But you can't play. Anyone in the company can't play, unfortunately, unless it's internal within the organization.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't seem fair, though. It doesn't seem fair for Jeremy and Avery because they're interns and probably not working for lots and lots and lots of Silicon Valley money. So it's like,
No, that's for sure. And well, hey, once we fire them at the end of the year, they can actually start playing again. So
short-term assets. Yeah, there's
kidding.
that.
I'm kidding.
There's that, fellas.
Yeah.
Is that what
money back then?
Is that what you should start telling people when you fire them at OwnersBox if you ever have to? Is say, hey, good news, you get to play again.
Exactly. That's the bonus. But no, all jokes aside, we love these guys. We're trying to beef up our intern / content team here.
Yeah.
They've been the first two we had on board. They're great. And our podcast, our content, our product, everything's only going to go up from here. We're really starting to skyrocket from here.
Yeah, these guys, listen, and this partnership is huge for us because it gives us the chance to bring you some really cool fantasy content. And we understand that we're not dumb. We're not going into verticals that have no upside. We understand how huge fantasy sports is. We know that people have never been closer to their phones and to their computers, and people want that action. They like that action. They need that action. So this is an incredible opportunity, not just for us, but for the people that actually consume product and content here at Dean Blundell, because bringing these people into the fantasy world is one thing, but allowing them to actually have their own leagues is something totally different, which is the customizable portion of what I love that you guys do. Can you explain that real quick to us? Or not even real quick. Take your time. I got fucking 3 hours.
Of course. And I think, you said it perfectly yourself. We want to create an environment where users can not only play publicly, but play with their friends. That's the best part of fantasy. That's why it's grown to where it is today, right? So,
well, who doesn't want to shit talk all the
Exactly.
time with people that they love? Who doesn't want to, like Avery? Tell me you don't want to kick Jeremy's teeth in a text over who he picked in fantasy.
We just do it to each other in the intern lab, but yeah, I'll do it over Messenger too.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'll go ahead. Yeah. So just what we do is we offer a group system and the chat system, which we'll talk about first. You can easily add friends. It's very similar to Facebook or LinkedIn, where you'd simply add your friend, they'd accept you, then you'd have them in your messenger permanently. Instead of having to text them to join a league or call them offline, you can do it directly on the platform by the click of a button. So, hey, if Dean adds me, hey, Dean, I don't have to text you. I can just flip you a note on the platform, send you an invite, and within seconds we're in a contest.
So if I had like 16 guys, let's say I was doing this, organizing this whole pool with my fucking pen and my piece of paper, and then I get the Excel spreadsheet out and I put that in there. What you're saying to me is all I have to do is start an account at OwnersBox. Go to OwnersBox.com. Again, the link is at DeanBlundell.com. Can you take that out actually and throw it up? That'd be great. It's DeanBlundell.com is where you can get it. But plus you get a big little 50. It's $50. Who doesn't want free money? Like you said, you're stupid if you don't. Anyway, so you just put in the names and invite for 15 other cats that they're gonna do this with, and boom, everything takes care of itself. And you deposit some money, and everything's managed right at OwnersBox. Is that how that works?
Yeah, just to highlight one thing you said, we offer 4 different contest sizes. I know this morning you did a 16-man, but we offer head-to-head. Everything we do is head-to-head. So it's 7 days of competition after your draft, and then the winner is either paid out or you advance. But let me explain the structure a little bit
please.
deeper. So we offer 4 different contest sizes. It's 2-user contests, which is, say, Dean and I played each other head-to-head. We draft and then compete over 7 days. And then at the end of the week, the winner would get paid out. We offer a 4-team contest, tournament style bracket format, where Dean and I would play each other week 1. Avery and Jeremy would play each other week 1. And then if Dean beat me, you'd advance. If Jeremy beat Avery, he'd advance, and you guys play in the championship the next week. So our 4-team contests are 2 weeks in duration. Our 8-team contest, 3 weeks in duration, same format, tournament style bracket formats, kind of like March Madness. You win, you advance, you lose, you're eliminated. Mm-hmm. And then our 16-user contest, which you just did, is a 4-week in duration. If you win, you advance, win, you advance to the finals, and then you get paid. So the difference is, though, is you don't actually have to win the whole contest to win money. And I think, from our perspective, when we were looking at the market, this is something we really believe in, is paying users out in a short-term manner. Mm-hmm. Even though, the dailies do that well, you get in for the day, you either get paid or you don't. And that's what, a lot of users like. They want the short-term payouts. They want the short-term gratification from that. So we tried to, as I said earlier, blend the best aspects of daily and season long. And this is one aspect from daily we really wanted to implement, is the short-term payouts. So on the 4-team, 8-team, or 16-team, you don't actually have to win the whole contest to get paid. So that's our whole structure there.
That's awesome. It's like you guys have figured out a way to find everything that people love about fantasy and be able to give them the opportunity to chain it up every 7 days in like any sport, any capacity. You can go head to head. You can do a pool for 4 weeks, which is cool because I didn't know, like, if you're doing weekly, is every 16 locked into a 4 week? Is that what you're talking about? If you're doing a 16,
yeah. If you draft, so you drafted your 16 this morning. Excuse me.
You all right there, bud?
Yeah, you're locked in. Yeah, just a little burp, but we're good. We're still here. 16 team, as you said, you drafted this morning.
Yeah.
It's locked in for 4 weeks, but if you lose, you're out. One thing I want to highlight, though, this is really important, is we allow contests to start any single day of the week. It does not matter. It doesn't have to be 7 days from when you start your first one. You can have 10 contests. You can have 15 contests if you're so anxious.
Huge.
But
Yeah.
you can start on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It literally doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
And then it just runs 7 days from the time you draft. So say I drafted today on Friday, the contest would start Friday and run to the next Friday.
That's huge.
NFL is the one unique instance because obviously it's more weekly by nature.
Yeah.
The week rolls over on Tuesdays with the official schedule, but for our MLB, NBA, and NHL contests, you can spin them up any single day.
That's incredible. You see, and the great part about this is that people have a chance to, like you said, not just waiting for an entire week, but if you want to get in after you've been dropped out of a 16-team or a 16-member fantasy pool, let's say you're doing that 4-week thing and you just did the draft, I'll probably lose. Dude, I'm going to tell you, I'll be fucking 100% honest with you. This is my first NFL fantasy draft I've ever been part of in any capacity whatsoever. So,
are you shitting me?
No, I shit you not. You're getting the perfect guinea pig here. I'm surrounded by people that have been screaming at me to get into this space, and my whole theory was just the name, fantasy. It really bothered me. It's the same reason.
You're more of a betting guy. I see. You're also an NHL. You're also an NHL guy, which I'm not. I'm from California. Grew up in NFL, NBA, MLB is my bread and butter. But don't you dare ask me an NHL question. You can resort to the short-term assets. They got that down for you.
Yeah, short-term assets. After we've heard a very detailed explanation from your boss, who's the same age as you, which has got to be killing you. Which is it is a little bit. Right. Is it killing you a little bit where you're like, what happened? This guy's super successful, 23. He's the VP of marketing. Hang on.
I got a long way to go, Dean. Fellas, I got a long way to go, but it's going to go to the moon. Just believe that.
I'm not done contextualizing this insult.
Go ahead, please. I'm listening.
Thank you. Jeremy Avery, this is for you. You guys are really within 6 months to a year of age. He's the VP of marketing. He's co-founder of OwnersBox, OwnersBox.com/app/Dean Blundell, by the way. Yeah, it's Dean Blundell if you want deposit match up to $50 today. Just do it. Anyway, so same age. Does it wonder what happened, like with you guys, or do you look at him and go, that guy's special?
No, we wouldn't. He's special. He's a great guy.
Special. He's special.
But we got time.
We're still in school, so once we hit in 4 months, if we're not where he is, then we're disappointed. So.
In 4 months.
We got to finish those degrees first.
I made a joke actually. Here's the honest truth before I make the joke. If I was in their position, honestly, working for a startup versus working for a big corporation, fuck that. Literally, they're in a position to work. I mean, they're getting more experience doing. What do you guys? They don't have one role. They don't just sit and crunch numbers all day.
So what do they do?
Social stuff.
Twitter.
They do promotions. They run our Twitter. They do our TikTok. They do our podcast. They're just learning, obviously how the business functions and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
it's a priceless experience for someone, and I can't convey this stuff. I wish I had this experience as a 23-year-old. I interned at a big company, and it wasn't something I knew I didn't want to do. So at least these guys, I mean, they might not want to get into fantasy sports. They might not want to get into gambling, some kind of business like that, but at least they're getting, a start. We started a year ago. It's only been a year and 2 months since OwnersBox has started. On our journey. It's been a great year and a half. And these guys, they've been great the last few months and learning a ton. So as I said, priceless experience. I wish I could go back 2 or 3 years and get the same experience.
I fully expected you to join the shitting on your interns, but you really bigged them up there too. Like you really are a great boss who's the same age as both those guys.
You won't drop that, huh? That's good.
Hey, just joking, fellas. So if people like listen, I want to get to the end of this whole thing, which I don't think we ever will. Fuck, sorry, I'm all tied up here. I don't think we ever will. But one of the things that comes with you guys is Drew Brees. He's an investor. He's a spokesperson for Weekly Fantasy Sports and OwnersBox. Explain the Drew Brees connection, because the commercials that you guys are doing with Drew Brees are incredible. We'll put one up here. Are they going to be able to hear it or see it or no? They can't hear it. We're going to hear it? Well, don't play it if they can't hear it. Audience can hear it. Oh, yeah, the audience can hear it. You guys can't. We'll play it at the end. But listen, the Drew Brees connection, how did that whole thing happen? I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, so just first before we start, Drew is an awesome guy. We're so excited to be partnered with him. He, early on, we saw companies in our space. You see DraftKings with Michael Jordan. You see a lot of partnerships with sports teams, whether it's DraftKings, FanDuel. They're all getting in the door with that.
Yep.
So early on, we knew we wanted to target a professional athlete of that nature and try to get him on board from a marketing standpoint.
Right.
We actually have an investor who is my high school football coach, amazing guy, one of my biggest mentors to this day. And he, meeting with him, we'd keep him on our investor calls. We'd have, monthly calls with them. And I mentioned that we wanted to get in front of some athletes, and he actually knows some athletes, whether, some San Diego connections. That's where I'm from. And Drew, I don't know if you guys know, is a huge San Diego guy, lives there in the summers, but he's not playing, obviously. And
big military family, right? Like, that's
big military. Yeah. Big military family. Yeah. But Drew and, a couple other guys like Russell Wilson, they're all San Diego natives now. And, we really love, we wanted to get in front of Drew, and I talked to my coach. I was like, hey, could you get us in front of this guy? And he was like, of course, I'll set up a call. I shot him off an email, kind of similar to the one I sent you, with all the information on what we were doing, our positioning, what makes us different, all that good stuff. And, it took a week or so to get on the call, but his agent, great guy. We had a few calls with him before we even got in front of Drew. Kind of.
What's he like? Is he awesome on the phone too? Like, were they Zoom calls? Did you actually see him?
Yeah, they were. Well, yeah, obviously with COVID, so we had to do over Zoom. But yeah, they were Zoom. We started off. It actually took 8 calls to close them. Believe it or not, it's a great story. But
are you serious? Why?
Yeah. 8. Well, just with the NFL, let me just get there. But the first 2 or 3 calls we had with him were just with the agent and our management team. Mm-hmm. And, we pitched the product, talk about what we were doing, all that good stuff. The agent was very, very interested, thought it was a very unique position, liked what we were doing, liked the team, all that good stuff. And then we finally got in front of Drew and pitched him. And, from the second we were on the call with Drew, we were all aboard. I mean, this guy was, heard us out, believes in the space. I mean, he's on the Saints. You see all these NFL teams doing partnerships, whether it's Denver Broncos with MGM, that on-site suite they're doing in there, which is crazy. You're seeing all this NBA, you're seeing DraftKings everywhere on these ads. So a lot of the players and, leagues themselves are opening up to this. And, you see, Drew was very open to us. He loved the team. He was a great guy, understood the space, which was very valuable. A lot of our pitches, it's always beneficial to have an investor / promoter to understand what we're doing in the space itself. Mm-hmm. So he was all aboard. We really loved the conversation. And then, the biggest challenge we faced though was, getting approval from the NFL itself. So after we found Drew was interested, we moved forward a bit, but then we got to the phase where it was like, we have to email the NFL. They have to, his agent has to contact the, legal at NFL to make sure it's legal for him to invest and also promote the company. So there was a kind of back and forth there for a few months. So we were very hopeful. I mean, we were confident that we were going to get it done, but the only really barrier we faced was that NFL approval. So when we finally got that email from one of the guys at the NFL, it was one of the better days we've had at the company. And it was, very, very exciting because the deal itself is not just a marketing contract where we're paying him cash to actually promote the business. He fully believes in what we're doing. He's on board as an investor and also a promoter. So he's willing to go the extra mile for us. And I think, so far, it's been a few months since we've had him on board, and he's awesome. He sends us videos. He stays in contact with us. I call his agent at least once a week. I mean, it's all good love, and we're really excited going forward with all the commercials we're doing.
Yeah, no kidding. How crazy is that? Like, what was he like on those calls? Was he asking you questions? Was he like super attentive?
Oh my god!
Like, or was he like one of those guys in the background? Like, yeah, whatever. Like, tell me about his demeanor, because I want to know what Drew Brees is like.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, it's a great question because early on I was worried. I was like, is he just going to ask like a one question or be really dry? So like I was prepared for him to be dry. Yeah. But we got him the call. He came prepared. So he did his research, obviously, whether it was through his agent or through his own methods. He knew what he was talking about. He came to the plate. He was asking questions literally the whole call, like understood what we were doing. Like he would like ask us one thing, we'd answer right away, and it would be just a fury of questions. And it was really awesome to see. because you would never think a guy like that would, go through the time to actually really vet the situation. He'd have like, whether it's his agent do it or one of his finance guys do it. He came to the plate ready to go. And that was the time where I looked at it and I was like, this is a guy we want on board, fully on board. So,
and that's also a time too where you go, this is mega for real. Like, is that, and tell me about that. Like when he's on, so he bites and then you guys are like, this is for real. And then the NFL is like, yeah, go ahead. Like, tell me how that felt. You said it was a great day around there, but tell me about that experience when that email came forward. You're like, yeah, dude, we are legit.
Yeah, and it's like it was kind of sketchy because it was like a month. We didn't hear for a month, and like I was obviously in contact with his team, Drew and his team, but it was like all up in the air because it was up to the NFL basically. If they said no, it wouldn't go forward. If they said yes, we're moving forward immediately. So it was a stressful time to say the least. But when we got that email, I mean, our management team, Brian, our CEO, and a couple of our other guys, it was a great day. We were, beyond ecstatic with everything going on and extremely positive about everything. And it changes the outlook of what we're doing, right? I mean, we're going to tap into his network. The deal structured very lucratively for both sides. We're going to be able to tap into his 4.5 followers on social, like all that stuff. So, as we're a growing company, as you know, we're pretty early stage, a year into the business, launched only 3.5 weeks ago or so. So we're looking forward to really tapping into his network and also leveraging his personality and everything like that as we gear up and go forward.
Hey, Jeremy and Avery, did you guys get to join any of those calls with Drew Brees?
No chance.
No, they stuck in their cave for that one.
See, and this is the thing: is he allowed to play? See, these are all questions I have. Like Drew's my friend. Like I messaged him on the OwnersBox platform. He's my friend now. I got the $5, by the way, which is great. And then I'm like, so Drew can play, right? But or is Drew just kind of there making sure? No, he can't. He's not allowed to play. Oh.
Drew cannot play. It's just his persona on our platform. It's not actually himself. He's not allowed to actually play because obviously, could you imagine? You saw with all the shit, the gambling, players can't gamble, can't put money on anything really, especially in the sport they play. I think that's the even more.
I know.
Violation. So
I know. I was just joking because you guys haven't responded to my friend request, so I thought Drew might.
I literally accept you this morning. You must not have been on the app.
Dude, I'm on the app right now. I'm looking at it literally right now.
I'm looking at my phone.
Share.
Dean, don't make me message right now.
I could do the damned. Oh yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, that's what I
friends.
Thought.
Yeah, we're friends. Sandy P, OwnersBox Sandy. There you go. Yeah, and some guy named Chris is my friend now too. That's incredible. I got 2 friends. Still waiting for Drew to hit me back. He'll hit me back. Everything's fine. Yeah,
he will.
So, guys, listen, we're going to get going, but I wanted to thank all of you guys for being here and really appreciate it. OwnersBox, if you go there now, if you go to OwnersBox.com, you can check out exactly what these guys are. They're a weekly fantasy sports platform. They are the premier weekly fantasy sports platform on the planet. And the great part about these guys, they're in Canada. They're a Canadian, but they're also in the United States now.
We're a U.S. company, though. Don't get it twisted, Dean.
I know that.
Don't get it twisted, though.
I know that. I know that, but we did this deal in Canada. It's like,
Correct.
It's like I know my brother was born in England, but I know he was conceived in Spain.
There you go.
Yeah. But check these guys out. Please do it. We're really excited because we're going to get started with the NFL fantasy sports. We're going to get going with the NHL fantasy stuff. We're going to get through free agency. I don't have any other breaking news unless you guys do from NHL free agency. I think we covered most of it already. Yeah. Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Avery. Thanks.
I haven't seen anything more. I would have let you know.
All right. That was just What's that?
I do have one thing I want to say, though, before we log off here. If you don't, and I know most of you listening to Dean's show right now do not subscribe to our YouTube, but you must go to our YouTube. Ask Dean, is our content fire, Dean?
It's incredible. Not only can you see a litany of Drew Brees interacting with people on what appears to be a 1-900 line for $9.99 a minute, but you can also see Sleepers with Kate. And the podcast, which is phenomenal. You guys do actually an unbelievable job of your podcast. That's when I started listening to the podcast about a month ago. I thought to myself, man, these guys are pretty good for young cats. I thought maybe you were a little bit older, actually, Sandy. So I take that for what it is, even though you're the literally exact same age as the interns.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But yeah,
all I gotta say is sub to the fucking YouTube. It's not that.
Okay.
It's
Follow us
literally
on Twitter.
how long does it take to sub to the YouTube? You literally type in owner. You go to youtube.com, you type in OwnersBox, and you hit the red button. It takes maybe 5 seconds, and it's content you won't want to miss, to say the least. We do great stuff here.
Yeah, they do. Incredible stuff. So go to OwnersBox.com, check out everything, subscribe to their YouTube channel, subscribe to their podcast. If you need help with odds, if you've got a fantasy league that you're setting up, if you don't want any of the work that comes with it and you want to make sure that you have the best results possible in a weekly payout and a real actual offer, which is $50 every time, up to $50 when you join. It's a deposit match. Go there now. Go to DeanBlundell.com. All the information is there as well. Guys, thank you so much. Greatly appreciate you doing this. I'm going to try and salvage my draft. I think I really pooched it this afternoon because my computer died.
Dean, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for having us. And
Thanks,
I think
fellas.
this is the best way we could have kicked off the partnership. I'm really looking forward to it.
I am too. Listen, take it easy on the solo cups. I hope you guys have a great Friday and you don't remember half of this tomorrow morning. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Dean. We'll talk soon.
Okay, thanks, guys. The fellas from OwnersBox, Sandy Plashkas, Avery, and Jeremy, a couple of interns from their podcast, which is a great fucking idea. We got to do that, an intern podcast. Now we need interns because we have mostly just people that work here, so now we need interns to do an intern podcast. That's nice, too, right? Being called a short-term asset. Aren't we all just short-term assets in the big scheme of things, right? We'll all be worm bait one day, so have some fun. Plus, with this pandemic, I'm actually pumped that we're doing this. I'm really excited, and it's completely selfish. I'm pretty sure that's how business works, actually, is if you go out and you do a complete vanity project like a blog, and it turns into a massive podcast network with 21 podcasts. By the way, the Owner's Box in the Box podcast and short-term assets will be available at deanblundell.com as well, I think today. So, but my point is this, is you get into this and you start like talking to people you just generally want to talk to and doing content you generally want to do, and then you get introduced to different concepts and ideas, and then someone says, hey, get into the sports fantasy betting space. And you're like, why? I don't like the name fantasy. And they're like, yes, but do you like money? And you're like, who doesn't? So I start doing a little betting. I start getting into some fantasy stuff. Start getting into odds. I start educating myself, and I'm super jacked for the pandemic now. I mean, who doesn't want to spend wave 2 actually being entertained by sports? You've got pretty much still a full season of NFL football, so we're going to manage that stuff. You've got an NHL season, which is fast approaching. End of December, beginning of January. Apparently January, early January, mid-January is when we're going to get done. The NBA, same thing. Lakers are going to wrap it up tonight. Everybody's going to do the whole EA Kobe thing, which is great. I'm really happy about that, actually, even though I don't like LeBron. Then you got NBA. And then you start again with everything else. Baseball's going to wrap up here in just a second. And then we're going to start that again in the spring, hopefully, if it all goes well. Burping. My apologies. What a time to be alive, really. I mean, that's the ticket here. What a time to be alive. Podcast on a Friday afternoon. I got a coffee in my hand. We just did a massive partnership with OwnersBox.com. OwnersBox.com. Gonna get right into fantasy sports too, like right into it. I just wish it was called something else, like weekly, death match or something. It'd be cool. Wouldn't it be cooler? Weekly death match. Weekly. We don't do monthly or daily death matches because you die sooner. We do weekly. And that's a great 50% of these things pay out for Owner's Box entrance. 50%. Be smart. Have some fun with us. Owner's Box Fantasy Sports. Weekly fantasy sports. Be friends with Drew Brees and get $5. Go to DeanBlundell.com for more information. Thanks to our friends at Blue Microphones. Listen, it's the best microphone on the planet. We're really thankful. They are the official microphone of the DeanBlundell.com podcast network, and they can be yours too. Go to Blue Microphones for more information. At Blue Microphones on Twitter. They got the Blue Yeti. Get the Blue Yeti. It's really not that expensive, and it's a USB mic as opposed to the XLR mics. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it doesn't matter. XLR is a bit of a cable. USB goes right into your actual computer. It just cuts down on a whole bunch of shit. XLR is good quality, though. I don't want to get into that. Anyway, Blue Microphones, the best on the planet. We use them. You should too. The official microphone of DeanBlundell.com. Thanks to our sponsors and our friends over at OwnersBox. OwnersBox Fantasy Sports right now. If you go to OwnersBox, you can sign up and be friends with Drew Brees. You get $5, real $5 to spend. You can deposit. You can refer. You get OwnersBucks, which is really cool. You can play for real money. You can play for fun money. You can be friends with people. I'm gonna be friends with Rocher when I'm done this whole thing. My man Rocher, Jeremy Roach. Just had him on the podcast, intern at OwnersBox. But go to OwnersBox.com today. Weekly fantasy sports. I'm telling you, this is going to be as my dad would say, this is going to be the bee's knees. This is the balls, people, is what this is. This is like the greatest invention I've seen since, like, the iron lung. Right? Yeah. That's what I said. Anyway. So, thanks to our friends at OwnersBox. Go to OwnersBox.com today. OwnersBox Fantasy Sports. Sign up for your account. They'll match all that business, and you're off to the races. OwnersBox.com. Play weekly fantasy sports for free. Sign up for free. It's free to sign up. And thanks to Ed at Ed's Fine Imports. EdsFineImports.com. Gitch3 is your promo code. The best underwear on the planet. If I was wearing some today, I'd be wearing those. No, just kidding. I always wear underwear. That's disgusting. Who doesn't wear underwear anymore? You want a thin layer of something between whatever it was you ate 2 days ago and, your pants. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for listening, and thanks to Ed, EdsFineImports.com. Gitch3, promo code. Greatest Gitch on the planet. Gitch. Right there. Thanks for listening. Thanks for enjoying the podcast. You can sign up for our newsletter, DeanBlundell.com, which is a nice thing to do. At the same time, you can sign up for one of these OwnersBox accounts. Have a great day. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Sandy and the crew. We'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great weekend. Bye.